breaking into our regular programming with breaking news here. A leading Hamas official has told Al Jazeera that the group has now accepted a ceasefire proposal put forward by Egyptian and Qatari mediators. Mediators have been scrambling to negotiate a ceasefire deal as Israel threatens an offensive in Gaza's southern city of Rafah. No later than this morning, Israel told 100,000 Palestinians living in eastern Rafah to evacuate the area. We're going to get, over the next few hours, as much as we can about this, as much as we can understand and know about this. Where we are right now, to repeat if you're just joining us, is that Hamas has communicated that it is accepting a ceasefire proposal. And it has said this to the two main negotiators, which are Qatar and Egypt. As you know, negotiations have been taking place recently in the Egyptian capital, Cairo. Tareq Azzoum is joining us from inside the Gaza Strip. You're in Rafah, Tareq. First of all, are you hearing anything on your end about this?
Yes, what we do hear is that Hamas movement has told Al Jazeera that they have agreed on the ceasefire proposal being initiated by the regional mediators, including Egypt and Qatar. The chief of the political bureau, Ismail Haniyeh, has been calling the head of the Egyptian intelligence, informing and delivering the positive response from the movement regarding the proposal being initiated by the Egyptian authorities. Now, clearly, as a result of that decision, Palestinians, as they hear this announcement by Hamas, they have been celebrating that the announcement was a clear positive step being taken from the Palestinian side, as they are completely happy that this step can help to prevent a potential military incursion for Rafah district. Now, people right now here are so happy, and there is a great sense of optimism among them as they are chanting that it's time right now for return, it's time right now for a ceasefire. That is right now the situation in Rafah, this area that has been widely attacked since the early hours of this morning. Now, what we do also hear among residents is that they are so optimistic and happy about this step, as they are waiting for a further confirmation from the Israeli side about the possibility to approach to a ceasefire deal, as they are completely dependent right now on the efforts being made by regional mediators to bridge the gaps of disagreement between Hamas and Israel, in light of their ongoing hopes to get to hear an official announcement for the ceasefire within the coming hours or days.
Okay, Tareq, help us take in the scene around you, because I'm hearing car horns, I'm hearing people shouting, I'm hearing what sound like scenes of elation and happiness. Take a moment to look around you, listen to what people are saying. What exactly are they sharing? What are the thoughts and words that they're sharing?
Now people here, as I can let you see right now, the cameraman is moving the camera, is that people are celebrating now. They are celebrating in the entire vicinity of Al-Kuwaiti hospital. They are so happy about that step that has been taken by the Palestinian side, by Hamas movement, regarding their acceptance to the ceasefire agreement. Now, what we do hear from residents is that they are chanting for the peace, they are chanting for the return. You can right now see how people are celebrating. You can see children, you can see how elderly people, young men are chanting and so excited about the announcement of this step from the Hamas side. They have been, in fact, under wide attacks within the past couple of weeks and days, and they are right now, everyone, including the children, are happy about that step, because they believe that Rafah invasion will bring unspeakable humanitarian catastrophe where a bloodbath will be shedded. But now they are so optimistic, and that was completely no longer was afforded in the past couple of days. But now with this announcement, the situation on the ground sounds really optimistic about this step, as they are waiting to hear the announcement as soon as possible.
Tareq, do you think you're able to speak to anybody around you? Go ahead, take your time, and you can translate to us if they don't speak English. Do you think you can speak to the people around you so that we can hear their thoughts and reactions?
Well, right now, now I will try to host one of the Palestinians, but everyone is absolutely happy about this. They are just right now crazy about this step that's been taken, as they appreciate so much. There is a great sense of happiness right now among those people. I'll try within the coming hours to bring more Palestinians to speak about how they evaluate this step on the ground.
Tareq, the area where you are is, you've been there for a few weeks now. You've been pushed south multiple times since the beginning of this conflict. Is one of the last areas where, so many Palestinians have been displaced to, and we're hoping it would be safe. But as we've reported countless times, hasn't been safe, and Rafah continues to be struck. Right now, I see people running around the streets, and I see more people around you than I've seen in, I think, weeks. What does that tell us?
Well, generally, the vast majority of Gaza's population in Rafah are completely experiencing heavy bombardment from land and sea, as they have been going through really difficult weeks. But this announcement right now for Palestinians is a kind of bringing a sense of relief and tranquility among Palestinians, that they might witness an end for the fighting. They are really believing that this ongoing mounting pressure by the American administration and by regional mediators can be fruitful to stop the conflict between Hamas and Israel. They are so exhausted. They have been completely traumatized in the course of the past couple of months, and they were all the time asking about the time for the ceasefire. Right now, as the first time ever, they have been hearing an official confirmation from Hamas sides regarding the ceasefire agreement. They are absolutely optimistic, as they believe that this step will definitely reduce the caps of disagreement between Hamas and Israel, and it will help to contribute to increase the possibility for approaching to a ceasefire agreement within the foreseeable future.
Tareq, can I ask you how you're feeling right now? Because you're a reporter, yes, and you give us the facts as dispassionately and objectively as you can, and you've been doing this for months. But you're also a Palestinian living in Gaza who's been yourself in danger. You've had to be displaced, and you've had to move your family and your relatives multiple times. How do you feel right now, hearing that Hamas has accepted a ceasefire proposal?
Well, what we do believe is that we have been completely under intense bombardment, and we have been going through really difficult times, including reporters, including the crew on the ground, those displaced Palestinians who are completely celebrating, including children, women, elderly, and everyone in the Palestinian community. That is an opportunity to get a sense of relief and even mitigation about this. And in order to know more about this, we're joined right now by a Palestinian man who will speak about how the situation and how this kind of announcement will really represent and means for Palestinians.
Hello. What do you see, and what do you think of this announcement by Hamas with regards to accepting the Egyptian proposal for a ceasefire? This is very nice, and hopefully would pave the way for the return to Gaza. Do you expect that a deal would be announced soon for a swap deal and a declaration of ceasefire? We hope Allah would facilitate this and we return to our homes. Where did you move from? I am from Gaza itself. Would you like to go back after they announce ceasefire, and what do you say to the world? My message is that I hope that we have the patience and return to Gaza. Thank you.
I'm going to take another one right now.
How do you see this announcement by Hamas about the ceasefire? First of all, praise be to Allah that they didn't invade Rafah, and we greet the people of Gaza for their safety. And we would like to thank all those who stood by our side and by Gaza. Would you like to go back home where you were removed from? Yes, from Beersheba. I am from Rafah.
Now we are going to take another Palestinian man. How do you see this kind of announcement by Hamas side?
It's very important for our issue, Palestinian issue, and about Gaza Strip. We went political isolation, not just humanitarian. For that, we must struggle to have independence from the Israeli occupation, to stop the occupation to Gaza Strip and to West Bank. For that, we must struggle and to see the international community stop the Israel escalation against Gaza Strip. This is the damage that by Israel, by the air forces, by the military, all the weapons that used against Gaza Strip. It's very horrible and very terrible for us. For that, we see this step very important for us and to back to our houses in North Gaza or in the west of Gaza Strip. Our families very sadness in these days, but in this evening after this announcement, we see the majority of our people very pleasure.
And do you expect that you will return back to your house in the north of the Gaza Strip when the ceasefire will be announced?
We hope that all the families back to their houses. This is very important. Or to stay in the Gaza, in the north of Gaza, it's very dangerous for them and for our future. For that, we hope to rebuilding the universities, our structure, everything that Israel damaged and destroyed, to rebuild that.
Thank you so much for your time, and we're going to take another Palestinian young man to ask him about his impression about this announcement from Hamas side. Now, how do you see this announcement by Hamas regarding their agreement and approval for the ceasefire?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Mr. Tareq, for having me in this interview. I'm going to say that we feel so happy that finally Hamas has agreed about the ceasefire, but now we are waiting for Israeli agreement, and we hope that they will say it. It's after 212 days of genocides, of displacement, of killing children, women, and elderly, and even nurses and doctors. It's not about genocide, it's not about things, it's about time that we have shown the world we have survived after this war. It's not just a war by Israel on Palestinian, it's a war from the world against the Palestinian here in Gaza. Gaza is so small, but yet we have survived 12 to 200 days from most advanced technical weapons against us. We will not forget and we will not forgive. Everything we have witnessed in this war will be written in the history. The Palestinians have survived, and we will survive until we get our freedom. The world is calling for freedom, but we don't find any freedom here.
And do you want to return back to the house that you were displaced from?
Of course. If we travel, what's the benefits of our defending and surviving? There's no point if we travel, if we left our lands. We have survived to return. We have survived so we can call for our freedoms.
Thank you so much for your valuable time, and that's how Palestinians here, children, young people, elderly, are really seeing this announcement being made and approval being made by the Hamas movement side, as everyone is really optimistic about the next steps that might be taken within the coming hours regarding the arrival to a ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel that will help to bring an end for the hardships and all kinds of misery Palestinians have been going through.
Tareq, your previous guest was making a very, very important point at this particular point in time. Hamas has accepted, they say that they've accepted this ceasefire proposal by Qatar and by Egypt. We need now to hear from Israel. I mean, Israel has signaled, and its prime minister has signaled multiple times that they were going to invade Rafah, come what may, deal or no deal. So we need to know. We don't have a full picture of what we're actually looking at and what really is happening right now until we hear from the Israeli side. So I just wanted to put that out there for you, the people you talk to, and also for our viewers, who will be tuning in, trying to understand exactly what's going on. I want to ask you this, Tareq. You have lived through multiple wars with Israel. Have you ever seen scenes like the ones you are witnessing now?
Well, Cyril, personally, I've been experiencing multiple wars. We are talking about 2009 aggression on the Gaza Strip, 2012, including 2014, which was really bloody for me, and 2021 escalations in 2022, and right now 2023, which from my own side is considered to be the bloodiest. I've lost my house, I've lost my entire city that has completely turned into a pile of rubble. We have been talking about being internally displaced for multiple times from a city to another in order to guarantee the full safety of my personal level, and also on my family level. We have been talking about that we have been unfolded with different kinds of attacks from land, air and sea, as we have been lucky to survive till this very moment, as the Gaza's Strip has been under wide military offensive since October the 7th now. We personally have been doing our best in order to take all the safety precautions, but this war sounds completely different in terms of the unprecedented scale of destruction being caused on the entire Gaza Strip, alongside to the point that the number of death tolls across the Gaza Strip is so incredibly high. We're talking about more than 34,500 Palestinians being killed till now, with more than 70,000 Palestinians have been injured, and that did not happen in any kind of a previous rounds of escalation and conflict between Hamas and Israel. But for the vast majority of Palestinians, there are peace seekers who are looking to live peacefully in a tranquil atmosphere, as the vast majority of us right now have been exhausted from the deadly consequences of this round of fighting, that till now there's no any end in sight for it. Now, with the positive response from Hamas side, we have been having more clear picture about the initiative being taken from the Palestinian side, but the vast majority of Palestinians are waiting for further confirmation from the Israeli side in order to get to a concrete base of agreement between Hamas and Israel, just to bring an end of the hostilities and to make a full cessation of all military acts that bring nothing to the ground but only destruction.
So, Tareq, I listened to what you said. You said you've been through 5 wars with Israel. My question was, have you ever seen at the end of a war, and again, I don't know if that's what we're looking at right now, but have you ever seen at any point during those wars or after those wars or as they ended, have you ever seen the scenes like the ones we're witnessing now?
Yes, certainly. I clearly remember every single time that there was an announcement for the end of the war. We've been talking about multiple announcements being made under the same circumstances throughout regional mediations that are completely has been playing a very contributing role to to bring an end for the fighting. Every single time we see similar scenes as what Palestinians right now are doing, celebrations, chanting for freedom, chanting for peace, and that's absolutely bring us back in memory to the days that had witnessed a proper end for the fighting, a proper end for the tragic stories and even tragic moments Palestinians have been going through. And that I absolutely believe that we might witness such similar kinds of moments and announcements within the coming days if Israel was so serious about bringing a peace, bringing a deal to the table and accept the proposal being initiated by the regional mediators.
I'm watching people behind you. Where are they going?
Now they are just going to their relatives, informing them that Hamas has agreed on the proposal. They are trying to, let's say, to spread the news among their members of the community. And right now they are chanting, saying that it's time of return. They are trying to celebrate. You don't know that people here have been living in makeshift shelters. which had been under wide military bombardment. The vast majority have lost their family, relatives, their beloved ones, their friends, their even loved close people to their heart's part. Despite of that, all kinds of loss that they have been going through, they are happy again when they firstly hear the announcement by Hamas side regarding the approval. It means that those people, only what do they think about is an end for the fighting, and that's absolutely a part of who they really are, a part of their own identity, that they are only looking for peace on the ground. They have been living peacefully, suddenly the war erupted, more attacks on the ground, being internally displaced, and ending up right now with Rafah, which has been designated by the military that it's going to be a safe zone. And now with the first step being taken by the Israeli side to invade Rafah, people has reached to unprecedented level of despair and even frustration. But now this announcement has really recalled and fueled the spirit of optimism among Palestinians, who are really looking forward to hear a proper announcement of the ceasefire within the coming hours.
All right, Tareq, thank you so much. You've been walking us through the last 20 minutes of reactions, these spontaneous manifestations of joy and elation that we're seeing really across the Gaza Strip, it seems. We're seeing the people walk behind you. You're in Rafah, of course. We saw the scenes at the Al-Aqsa Hospital. If viewers are watching that the biggest window on your screen, we saw the Al-Aqsa Hospital. That's in central Gaza in Deir al-Balah. That's top right on your screen right now, and the very latest pictures in the center. So, spontaneous eruption of joy across the Gaza Strip, where it's just past 8 p.m., as Palestinians learned that Hamas had accepted the ceasefire deal proposed by the mediators, Egypt and Qatar.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.